Imagine you're desperate. Someone you love is dying. You run to the one person who can help. And just when hope seems possible, he stops. But not for you, for someone else. And not just anyone, but someone who had been rejected for years, who had no place in society, a woman whose desperation led her to do the unthinkable. Why did Jesus choose her first? And what if I told you there's a possible connection? A connection that would challenge a man's heart, redefine what it means to be chosen by God, and reveal something much deeper than just two miracles. In this video, we're going to uncover what's hidden in Scripture, so let's get started. Jairus was a synagogue leader, a man of influence, a man of power. People came to him for answers, for spiritual guidance. He was respected, he was honored. But in this moment, none of that mattered, because his 12-year-old daughter was dying. And for the first time, Jairus, this man of status, was powerless. With all his authority, he couldn't heal his little girl. So he did something unthinkable. He ran, he pushed through the crowds, and fell at Jesus' feet, begging, "Please, come heal my daughter." This was a desperate plea, but not from a man of status, but from a father's heart. He needed a miracle. Jesus was his only hope, and Jesus agreed. Hope flickered in Jairus' heart, but just when it seemed like help was on the way, Jesus stopped. While Jairus was desperate to save his daughter, there was a woman in the crowd. A woman who had been suffering for 12 years. For over a decade, this woman had been bleeding, and according to Jewish law, that meant she was unclean. For 12 years, she had been rejected, shut out. She wasn't allowed in the synagogue, wasn't welcome in the community, wasn't even supposed to be touching people. She had spent everything on doctors, but none could heal her. Imagine the emotional and spiritual exhaustion she must have felt. For 12 years, she had lived in constant shame and suffering, and then she heard about Jesus. She didn't feel worthy enough to ask him for healing, but she thought, if I could just touch his cloak, that would be enough. Her faith was simple, desperate, and bold, and so she took a risk. She pushed through the crowd, breaking every rule, every expectation, and reached out her trembling hand. And the moment she touched his cloak, she was healed. But then Jesus did something she never expected. He stopped, he turned, and asked, "Who touched me?" His disciples were confused. After all, people were pressing in on all sides, so how could he know? But Jesus knew. He knew that power had gone out from him. He knew that someone had touched him with faith. The woman came forward, trembling, knowing that she had broken the law by being in the crowd. She had touched the man without his permission, and in doing so had made him unclean. But she wasn't just looking for healing. She was looking for acceptance. She was seeking restoration. Now imagine the courage it took for her to step out of the shadows, to push through the crowd, risking further rejection. Her faith wasn't just in Jesus' power, but in his mercy. This moment is crucial. Jesus didn't just want her healing to be physical. He wanted the world to see that she was no longer an outcast. By calling her forward, he was giving her a new identity. He was saying, "You are my daughter. You are seen. You are worthy." Jairus stood there watching in disbelief. His daughter was dying, and Jesus was wasting his time looking for whoever touched him. Imagine his frustration. Every second counted. And then the unthinkable happened. A messenger arrived from his house and said, "Your daughter is dead. Don't trouble the teacher anymore." Jairus must have felt his heart drop. He had come so far, placed all his hope in Jesus, only for it to be too late. Have you ever felt like this? Desperate for something? And then it seems like God is moving too slowly. You see others around you receiving answers, but nothing is happening for you. How do we handle that kind of waiting? But Jesus' response to Jairus was simple, yet profound. Don't be afraid, just believe. Jairus is being called to trust in Jesus, even when everything seemed lost. Now Jairus wasn't just any man in the crowd. As a synagogue leader, it was very possible, maybe even likely, that he was the one who had cast this woman out years ago. For 12 years, she had been kept out of the synagogue, rejected, declared unclean, and who enforced that? The synagogue leaders, men like Jairus. But now, in front of everyone, Jesus looks at this woman and calls her something that shatters Jairus' entire worldview. He says, "Daughter." This is the only time Jesus calls someone daughter in all the Gospels. Why here? Why now? Imagine what Jairus must have felt in that moment. For years, this woman was nothing to him, an outcast, a rule breaker, an inconvenience. She wasn't a daughter of Abraham in his eyes, just a problem to be dealt with. But now, Jesus had just called her daughter, and for the first time, He saw her the way Jesus did. And then another realization struck him. How could he have missed it? How could he have been so blind? For 12 years, he had the joy of raising his daughter, holding her, protecting her, watching her grow. But for those same 12 years, this woman had been kept from being in her father's house. She suffered outside the synagogue while he stood inside. While he had the privilege of loving his daughter openly, she had been rejected, forced to live in isolation, longing to be with God. And now, standing before Jesus, he realizes the truth. This woman wasn't just some outcast. She was a daughter of God. And for the first time, he saw her the way Jesus did. Faced with the death of his own daughter and the pain of separation he was now experiencing, Jairus is confronted with a deeper truth as Jesus stirs in him a newfound compassion for the woman he had never before seen as a daughter of God. And maybe, just maybe, he realized that the woman he had once cast out had just as much value in God's eyes as his own child. Jesus arrives at Jairus' house. The mourners are already wailing. But Jesus says she's not dead. She's just sleeping. He takes her hand and says, "Little girl, get up." And she does. She is alive. 2 daughters, one rejected for 12 years, one dying at 12 years old, and Jesus restored both. So what does this mean for us today? No matter where we come from, what we've been through, or how unworthy we may feel, Jesus sees us and calls us by name. We are not forgotten. We are sons and daughters of God, called to trust in Him. He doesn't just wait for us to be perfect. He perfects us through His love and mercy. Maybe you relate to Jairus, desperately seeking Jesus in a time of need. Or maybe you feel more like the woman, carrying years of pain and hesitation. But no matter where you are, know this. Jesus sees you. He knows your heart, your struggles, and your faith. Does this hidden connection change your perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And stay tuned for more discoveries that bring new depth to familiar stories. Jesus sees you, He calls you, and just like Jairus and the woman, He invites you into something deeper, something greater. Thanks for watching.